morning. Well, it's afternoon now, isn't it? Hope everyone's okay and having a fabulous Thursday. Yeah, it's exciting. I'll just give it a few minutes just to see what if anybody pops on. If not, I'll just crack on. So, welcome. This is going to be a 30-minute chat. I think might be a bit less than that. 30-minute chat on the benefits of yoga. Yoga? It's because I read that earlier. Not yoga. Good start, Tilly. Good start. Meditation, the benefits of meditation, and some of the incredible benefits. And it's been really good for me to actually get down to the kind of nitty-gritty of this stuff. I always find it fascinating when you start learning something as an adult. You feel kind of forced into kind of learning as a child, and then suddenly you're learning something as an adult, and it's something that you really want to learn. So you get, well, I do. I get really excited, and I was really interested learning all this stuff about it. And I think that when it comes to meditation, I think because the benefits are so huge, actually learning a little bit about the benefits of it and like the real nitty-gritty, what happens in your brain benefits can help. And I think it's a good way to help you stay consistent with it, because if you actually know how it's helping you and know what it's doing, then you're more likely to probably keep on doing it every day. So I think that can only be a great thing, and it sort of helps you understand your why. Why do you want to do this? And I think that's the same with a lot of things. If you know the why behind something, you're more likely to keep on doing it. So this is just for anybody who wants to learn more about meditation. I'm going to be getting into details. And anybody who wants to learn how to sort of practice it daily, like I said before, who wants to keep consistent with it. And who's this for? This is for everyone. Meditation can literally be for anyone. Anyone and everyone can do this. It's a simple practice. So by the end of this, I've sort of split it into three. I'm going to talk about the mind first. So a little bit about the brain, a little bit about how it affects the brain, then a little bit about mood and emotional health, and then just a little bit about the overall health at the end. So just going to talk a little bit about my own story. I used to do meditation as a preventative measure. Not preventative, sorry, cure. When I was feeling down, or if I was in a kind of spiral, or I was feeling a bit stressed or depressed or any of that, I would be like, right, okay, now I need to meditate. When what I know now from it is much, much more of a preventative measure. So definitely doing even just a little bit every day really helps. And it helps so much, and it helped me so much. I really kind of just got to grips with it, and I kind of realized, I read so much stuff saying keep consistent, and I was like, oh, and I was so resistant to that word because I was like, I don't want to do something every day, and I was I was just resistant to it basically. But if it's something you can implement, as much as we clean our teeth every day, we look after ourselves, we feed ourselves, if it's something as simple as doing those things that we can do every day, then why can't we meditate every day? And there was just so much information out there that just said, if you do this consistently, it helps in all these ways. I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to give it a go. It was out of pure desperation for me. I was just sick of being in that spiral, that chaos, that lows and highs, that I just couldn't quite grasp hold of this kind of balanced me. So I thought, I'm going to give it a go, and I did, and I'm so grateful that I did. And at the time when you're doing it, you know, for me personally, I didn't, you know, sometimes I didn't really feel like it was having that much of an effect. You know, I didn't have any big, you know, moments with it, which some people can. It was more of a kind of gradual thing. And I think now looking back over time, I can see that I am more balanced. I have a clearer mind. My intuition has got sort of, I listen to it more. It's clearer. I found more joy. I react to things instead of responding. You know, there's not like a quick reaction to something. There's a step back, see it for what it is. There's a more balanced and more focused. And you know, full disclosure, it hasn't just been meditation that's done this. You know, there has been other things in my life, practices that I do, but meditation for me is something that I've just done consistently. It's a non-negotiable for me. It's something that I do every day. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, maybe a couple of days I've missed, and that is probably it. I will do it every day. So let's get down to the workshop. So I'm going to talk about the benefits, or let's talk about the mind first. And this is fascinating to me because obviously I'd heard that meditation can basically change the brain's structure and function. I was like, well, how? How does this even work? Because you know, I don't understand it, but let's get into it. So I got, you know, got into the sciencey bit, and basically it was talking about brainwaves. And if you could, I've actually posted in the event 3 pictures, and the first one is of brainwaves, and these are produced when neurons. We have all these neurons in our brain. We have about 100 billion neurons in our brain that communicate with each other with synchronized electrical pulses. So they communicate and they transmit a signal which creates a tiny electrical impulse. And when they fire their electrical charge, they can produce an immense amount of electrical activity. So if the brain is active, these synchronize, they're firing, and this resulting in repeated cycle or rhythm. So these rhythms are called brain waves, and they're called waves because they look like waves, which is, if you see the picture, you can see what they look like. So yeah, and this is fascinating because I think for thousands of years, meditation has been something that people have done all over the world, and I think it's only been very recently that we can actually see the effects it's having on the brain, and it is just fascinating to actually know how and what it's doing and how it's helping. So we've got, you know, different scans. One's the MRI scan, and one's it's an EEG, and I tried to pronounce it earlier. It's like electrophallogram. I'm not sure what it is. I think that's how you pronounce it. I do apologise if anybody does know, but these are basically machines that can pinpoint exactly where and when in the brain that these waves are happening. So it's brilliant that the kind of science is catching up now with this. So basically, as you see from the picture, brainwaves are produced when you have thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and they can differ according to your mood and activity. So we've got like different ones. And I was trying to think of an analogy, and obviously the obvious one is the sea. So if you imagine a really stormy waves, you've got the top, you've got the really stormy, heavy, you know, massive waves, which are the gamma waves. Then we're coming down into the beta, a bit calmer. Then the alpha in the middle, so that's in the middle, so it's still a little bit choppy, but not as choppy. Then we get to the theta, and then we're on the ground floor, the surface, which is really calm. So we're going to start there. So this is the calm waters at the bottom of the ocean, and this is the frequency of the unconscious mind. So this is prevalent when you're in deep restorative sleep. And this is associated with awareness, detached empathy, and healing. And it's been shown that people in meditation have a lot of delta waves. But in my findings, I did find out that a large amount of delta waves are favorable, but they're not, depending on your own thought patterns. So that's a whole other thing that I won't go into, but that's what that means. Then we go to the theta waves, which is these are the we're slightly above the seabed now. It's getting a little bit more wavy, and these are the frequency of the subconscious mind. So this is when we dream. This is the dream frequency, and it's also a marker of creativity, intuition, and this is meditation as well. And theta wave is a type of wave that healers can produce when they're healing others, which I thought was quite fascinating. And also a fun fact, that same frequency is the same frequency of the planet Earth, which I thought was quite interesting. So I thought I'm going to add that. Then we get on to the alpha wave. So now we're in the middle of the ocean. So we're halfway there. It's getting a little bit more choppy. So these are when you're in a relaxed state and detached awareness. So this can be associated with daydreaming and a bit of light visualization. And the alpha waves are the ones that you pass through when you go to sleep and when you wake up in the morning. So they have identified that alpha is an essential brainwave pattern in meditation, but as always, it's a little bit more complex than that. And this is one thing I discovered when learning this stuff. The brain is very complex. I don't even think, as humans, we know even what it's capable of, which I think is exciting. So I'm going to read. Somebody called Maxwell Cade was a pioneer in this research, and they concluded that alpha activity acts as a bridge between the conscious and the subconscious mind. So Kay discovered that no matter how deep you go in a meditation, you can't recall any of it afterwards unless you've had alpha activity. So yeah. So now we're getting a bit higher. Now we've gone to the beta waves. So this is just below the surface. So this is quite choppy. These are the waves that are getting a bit choppy. So on the lower frequency of those, this is the frequency of conscious thought. So this is like solving problems, linear thinking. It's also writing and calculating. So basically, this is us functioning in the world. On the other hand, when we go into the higher range of the beta waves, this can correlate with anxiety and frustration and stress. So the higher you are, the more stressed out you will be in this area. And it can produce negative emotions such as anger, fear, and guilt. And this can produce beta bursts. And also, high beta is also the home of mind chatter. So when we meditate, this can calm the thinking mind and the beta waves diminish. So when they diminish, less fear, less anger, and less mind chatter, which I think is great. Which is obviously great in this day and age. Now we have the gamma waves. So these are the ones at the top. We're above surface level. It's really, really wavy. There's lots of waves going on, and yeah, they're big. So this is the fastest waves. So these will also only appear when you have the bottom theta and delta, which is the lower frequencies. And these synchronize the brain across the frequencies, making it more coherent. So this can support the flow of information across the hemispheres and the peripheral nervous system. So this is to do with high peak performance and intellectual function and creativity. And it's also a place where neurogenesis is active. So this is the production of new brain cells. So we can basically increase our capacity for intelligence and memory. And meditation with these waves, you can basically bring that heightened awareness from the meditation into your daily life. So it's all fascinating. I was loving learning all about this the other day. So now we go into the actual brain. So there is an image of the brain and the inside. So the amygdala. So the amygdala is a little piece of the brain. It's like it kind of sits. This is why I put a picture up, because I couldn't really point to it. So basically in meditation, this area will shrink. And the amygdala is your alert system. So this has an align to activate your alert system. So these stress hormones that we get for fight, or flee, that's where it starts in the amygdala. So if we have regular activation of these, if we're constantly in this stress response, this can cause all sorts of problems, which I will talk about in a later bit. Sort of physical and emotional problems, and it's not great. But basically, through meditation, this can shrink, so it won't be as active. So this can decrease the anxiety and the fear and the stress. And the good news is, from what I found, this can take as little as 8 weeks, which is not that long. So, it's amazing what it can do. So now we move to the prefrontal cortex, which is the brain, the front of the brain. This is the most evolved part of our brain, actually. This is responsible for higher level thinking processes. So we need this to pay attention to tasks, basically, make decisions and change our behavior. And it's also for regulating our emotions. So it does this by enhancing goal-directed activations in the brain and inhibiting less important activations. So basically the stuff that tries to distract you. So if we get an increased volume in this area, which is what meditation does, we should become better at focusing and sustaining our attention. So this makes tasks so much easier to perform when you can focus on the one thing. This whole myth about, and I say myth because it is about multitasking. We are not built to multitask. We are not. Focus on one thing. We have all these distractions around us, but meditation helps us to stay focused on the one thing. Then we get the hippocampus, and this is associated with learning, memory, and emotional regulation. So basically, the research says that increase in this area would suggest an increase in these abilities. So an increase in your learning, your memory, and your emotional regulation, which is great. Then the final bit is the let me get this right again, temporoparietal junction. I think that's how it's pronounced. Don't quote me on that again. And we have a growth in this area when it comes to meditation. So this area associated with empathy, compassion, and perspective taking. So this means that we are better able to focus on ourselves and just basically offer more empathy and compassion to others and ourselves as well, which I don't know about anybody else, but I just think the world needs a lot more compassion and empathy. I believe meditation should be mandatory to everyone. So that's just a little bit about the brain and the areas of the brain and what meditation does for it. So basically, I also just wanted to talk about the neuroplasticity of the brain. So it was thought back in the day that we grew up, our brains evolved, and then they got to a certain point, and then they just diminished. We basically went into decline. There's now research that basically says neuroplasticity. That means that the grey matter in the brain can shrink or thicken. So basically, those neurons that I was talking about earlier that communicate with each other, and we've got 100 billion of them in our brains. The more we practice something, the more connections we can make. Same as with old connections, the less we use them, they will degrade or even terminate. But this is incredible. So basically, you know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to know that even no matter what age you are, you can still start. It's great to start a new thing when you're older. Meditation is a great thing to start at any age, and it literally can change our brain after only 8 weeks, like I said, and you know, basically help it for the better, which is a great thing. So I'm now going to talk about mood. So there's two particular areas I've focused on. Obviously, you know, it helps you feel good, it helps you feel great, it helps you feel joy and happiness. But I wanted to focus on the flip side of that. So basically, as we know, meditation has been found to change certain areas of the brain. But these are specifically linked with depression. So they basically found that this certain area of the brain becomes hyperactive in depressed people. So there's a certain area called the medial prefrontal cortex. So this is where you process information about yourself. So this is where you'll be worrying about the future, ruminating about the past. And when you get stressed, this is the area that goes into overdrive. Another area is the amygdala, which is the one I just spoke about before, and that's your fear center. So as I said, that's the one that triggers the fight, flight, or flee response. So these two areas of the brain basically work off each other, and they just get worked up and they react to stress and anxiety. And this leads to a rise in our cortisol levels. And it's basically trying to fight a danger that's only in our heads. You know, it's not actually physically happening. It's something like, say, we're worrying about the past or ruminating about the future. And we create this whole picture in our head of worry. And basically, meditation has been found to break this connection between these two brain regions. So if we break them, we find we have less stress, less depression, less anxiety. And talking on anxiety, this again can actually physically change the structure and function of your brain. So this can decrease the size of the hippocampus. And as I said, that's the one that is associated with memory. And it increases the size of the amygdala. Again, like I said, the fight, flight, or flee response. So this could just basically create you to become more anxious and more fearful. And it triggers the stress hormone, causes imbalances in neurotransmitters and basically chemicals in the brain that communicate with each other. And again, regular meditation can basically reverse this damage. I also just want to say, on the note of those two things, especially around anxiety and depression, that, you know, if you are somebody that is struggling with these things, I'm not saying that meditation is the all, you know, albeit all cure for everything. So please do seek professional help if you are struggling with those things. But also, I think it's good to know that you can do both. You can do both. It's not an all or nothing. And I think it's always good to use that alongside it, because it definitely helps. Now I'm going to get on to the sort of the health side of things. So it can help your health in so many ways again. So this is on a physical level. So it's been shown to lower your blood pressure. It's also been shown to decrease tension-related pain, so like headaches or ulcers or even insomnia and muscle and joint problems. It can boost your immune system and also improve your quality of sleep. And I think if all of those things are working, it can increase then your energy levels. I think sleep is so important when it comes to a lot of this stuff, because basically stress is something that can wreak havoc on our bodies. It's something that I think is an epidemic of it at the moment around the world. You know, we are constantly bombarded with all this information from our phones, from, you know, the news, from watching negative things, from negative people, and it can just basically cause so much problems. And basically what it does, it stimulates our sympathetic nervous system. So we get a surge of that stress hormones. And if this is constantly happening, this is kind of low, this is just a low hum of this stress that's constantly happening in our bodies, and our bodies are having to fight it. It can cause so much problems. It causes inflammation. And inflammation is linked with stroke, heart disease, cancers, diabetes, and yeah, probably a lot of other nasty stuff. On the flip side, when the body is relaxed, we, whether that's through meditation or other practices, meditation isn't the only practice, the parasympathetic nervous system will be stimulated. So this stops the release of the stress hormone. And so when we have that stop, when we trigger the parasympathetic, we get a lower blood pressure, heart rate lowers, we have a better oxygen consumption, so we get higher energy levels, and we have better immunity and better sleep. So yes, you know, who doesn't want all those things? I know I do. So that's what I found out about the mind, mood, and health, and the benefits that it can give you. There was a lot of other stuff that came up, but I think that a lot of it is not very tangible. There's not a lot of the you know, we can't put it into research and studies, but you know, it's supposed to increase creativity. And I know for me, my intuition got heightened, and I definitely get little notices in my meditations, which I do pay attention to now. So you get more clarity and more peace of mind, and problems can definitely seem a lot smaller as well. So that concludes my my workshop for today. I hope that you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Like I say, if you have any questions, then please get in touch. I will be happy to just have a chat about this stuff. I'm really interested. I loved learning about all this stuff myself. You know, I knew a little bit about what it did, but actually going into the research and kind of learning about it, I learned so much more, which was great. So the main thing with meditation, I said this before and I'll say it again, is to be consistent. So yes, just try it every day, even if it's just starting at 5 minutes, just a few minutes each day, and then building. Once you're comfortable with that, then building on that. And there's loads of different guided meditations or music you can put on. So just stay curious with it. If one doesn't work for you, try a different one. Just keep on trying. Just keep trying every day. And it's a practice. That's why we call it a practice. So if you're interested in working with me, or you want to learn about meditation, if you want somebody to keep you accountable, if you want to learn how to cultivate a deep self-love with this practice and other mindset work, or confidence in yourself, or more joy, then I am available. You can book a free 15-minute discovery call with me. There's no obligation to buy after that. It could just be a chat, very easy chat with me about where you are and where you want to get to, and to see if I can help you in any way. So if you want to do that, then please get in touch. That is to join my 8-week course, Find Your Joy. So DM me, message me, and I will be in touch with you. So that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you and goodbye.